Hey guys, this is Stephen Vitt once again. Long time no see, obviously. Uh, Welcome back to Bobcat Corner Live. This is like a short live stream recap show that I do ever so often to recap Ohio Bobcats football team, the results of their games. And if you're just checking in tonight to see what happened here for the Ohio Bobcats tonight, well, you're in for something kind of special because this was one of those games where it just went back and forth more than it should have. And it became such a close call. But I have to tell you guys, it was well worth it at the very end. So let's just get right to it. In summary of this game, it was definitely a tale of two halves. For those of you who watch this game, it was definitely a tale of two halves. The first half was wonderfully played by the Ohio Bobcats, no doubt about it. They jumped out to a big 24-0 lead after two quarters. But this is why we play 60 minutes, guys. This is why we play 60 minutes. You can have a good 30 minutes at first, but then the next 30 minutes got to be played. And that almost came back to bite us in this case. And against a team, no less, that has had experience doing this year in the Central Michigan Chippewas. As I've noted in my last video in the regular Bobcat Corner, that Central Michigan has had a knack for doing this. Their last two games before they hit their bye week, Central Michigan came down to the wire against their opponents, and they managed to get basically last minute scores to win their last two games before this one. And that was really noted by me because when you're dealing with a team like Central Michigan, you cannot afford to look the other way. You cannot afford to just take your eye off the ball, so to speak, and just let a team like Central Michigan get in the game, because situations like this can develop. As I will describe here in this game, like I said, when you watch the first half of this game, first and second quarter, it was all Bobcats. They controlled the pace of the game, the tempo, they controlled basically all facets of the game. And if you look at the stats for just the first half alone, Ohio, they basically outgained Central Michigan outright in total yards, like 332 yards to 63 yards overall, running and passing. That was complete dominance in the first half by the Bobcats. And really, I have no complaints about what happened in the first half. That was the kind of game that we needed to play. And we had the right attitude there. But what I noticed in the third quarter, starting in the third quarter, is that we started to take our eye off the ball. We started to we started to allow openings for Central Michigan to get back into the game, and that's what happened. When you give a team like Central Michigan an inch, they're most likely going to take that mile. So really, it felt like a Central Michigan kind of game in the second half for the most part. Aside from a couple key plays that the Bobcats made that they had to make, thankfully they did, which is why I'm so relieved right now, because I really did not want to come up here and talk about a 1 point or 2 point loss. I really did not want to do that. After everything I saw the Bobcats do in the first half, it was like, I've seen this story before, if that was going to be the case. But thankfully, that was not the case. So, yeah, let's just get right to it. First quarter, I'm just going to try my best to describe what happened in the game. Forgive me if I overlook some details here, but to start the game, the Bobcats got on the board first with a field goal, 3-0, simple chip shot field goal, 35-yard field goal by Gianni Spetic. That was good. And early on, I could see that Parker Navarro was really he was having a good grasp of the running game, especially when he took off running. Had a good set of wheels today. He was on the run. He was doing good with the running aspect of it. And unfortunately, though, there were times where on offense the Bobcats got kind of when it comes to handling the football, we got kind of complacent. We're still having issues when it comes to hanging on to the football with fumbles and things like that. Anthony Tice, he had a fumble with like 7 minutes to go in the first quarter. And then Parker Navarro, he fumbled the football quite a few times, 3 or 4 times throughout the game. So that is still an issue that we need to address. But it did not come back to bite us overall. But it is something I got to note because I've seen it happen a lot throughout this year that we're still finding ways to fumble the football. We can't do that. So I do have to note that. But anyway, yeah, there's one thing I want to mention here. It's kind of funny. At least in my opinion, it was kind of funny. It was like 3 minutes and 20 seconds to go. So basically 3:20 to go in the second. I think it was the second quarter. I'm not sure, but it was kind of funny. This play by the Ohio Bobcats. Excuse me. When I'm trying to think about this. There was like a simple pass play from Parker Navarro to a wideout, complete 3-yard gain. But that's not the story. The story was that it was that the entire offensive line for the Bobcats, they were just like still in their position, still in their crouched position, as if they never moved. And it was like, well, that's definitely going to go on the blooper reel, right? I had quite a bit of a laugh with that one. I was like, okay, guys, I don't know what you're doing, but okay, you want to have a little bit of giggles and laughs there, but yeah, but just a little funny part there of the game. But yeah, second quarter, more of the same, good stuff going on for the Bobcats. Parker Navarro, again, he broke out really good runs. 18-yard run the second quarter. Back the first quarter, he had a great 53-yard run to start things altogether. And again, Parker Navarro, he had a good game running. He is a mobile quarterback, and when he is feeling it, on the ground, all this running, he can make plays happen, and he did just that. And overall, the stats, I'm just going to get the overall stats out of the way first. Parker Navarro, he had a good game overall. Overall, the stats will show that. Parker Navarro, he completed 13 of 22 passes for 147 yards and 1 touchdown. And on the ground, he had 176 yards rushing for 1 touchdown. And yes, he got sacked twice, but again, did not come back to bite us. So overall, good game from Parker Navarro. I'm pleased by what Parker Navarro did in this game. I'm pleased overall. And other stats for the Bobcats, Chase Hendricks, wide receiver, just 2 receptions, but he had 74 yards. Wonderful. Just wonderful. And once again, Coleman Owen, he had 5 receptions for 48 yards and 1 touchdown. There again, productivity. Coleman Owen definitely becoming one of my favorite Bobcat wide receivers right now. And he shows it. He doesn't just talk the talk, he walks the walk, at least in my opinion. So, yeah, that was his stats for the game overall. Coleman Owen, he checked in with a 5-yard touchdown reception with 3 minutes and 17 seconds to go in the second quarter. I think that offensive line play I was talking about was back in the first quarter. So, but anyway, 3 minutes, 17 seconds to go in the second quarter. Coleman Owen got that touchdown reception to make it 17-0 Bobcats. Let me back it up a little bit. Parker Navarro, he scored an 8-yard touchdown run to make it 10-0. Then we get to Coleman Owen, 17-0. There we go. That's the sequence there. So, yeah, no complaints at all. Yeah, no complaints at all about the Bobcats the first half. None whatsoever. And Duncan Brune, shout out to him. He finally got his chance again to see the field on offense. And he punched it in. 4-yard touchdown run very late in the second quarter. Minute to 7 seconds to go. Make it 24-0. All Bobcats first half. What more could you ask for? So, good. Nothing but good feelings after the first half. I was very pleased with what was going on with the first half of play here. But then you get the second half, and it just seems like, we go in these phases where it's like, riding on a high, feeling really good about ourselves. And then when we just, we keep the door a little bit open for our opponent, sometimes the opponent just kicks the door in, or at least tries to. And that's something that we got to keep a better focus on going forward this season, so that we don't let stuff like this keep happening. But I'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, third quarter and on, it just seems like our offense just stalled quite a bit. It's like we were getting a little bit of runs here and there, but then we just stalled. Really, there's no other way to say it. We stalled. And we got like 3-and-outs, fourth down here, fourth down there, got to kick the ball back to Central Michigan. And by doing that, we just made Central Michigan feel good about themselves again. We gave them hope, basically. And really, on defense, the Bobcats were amazing as well in the first half. Bobcats made all the great stops that they needed to make. They stuffed the run. They could not be beat in the first half. Central Michigan running backs in general, they could not get past the Bobcats defense in the first half. Bobcats defense would not let it happen. But the second half, adjustments were made. And Central Michigan, they got one of their running backs going in Marion Lukes, who I mentioned in that Bobcat Corner episode about thoughts on Central Michigan. Marion Lukes was flat out amazing in the second half. Not gonna lie, just being kind of blunt, Marion Lukes pissed me off a little bit in the second half. I was like, are you kidding me? We can't stop this guy. What can we do to stop this guy? I was like, are you kidding me? So yeah. Overall, his stats for the game, I have it written down here. Marion Lukes for Central Michigan, he had 20 rushes for 110 yards and 3 touchdowns. He got all 3 touchdowns in the second half alone. He almost single-handedly brought the Chippewas back into the game. Almost single-handedly did it. And that just shows you how special of a player he is. All credit to him. But it's like on defense, the Bobcats, when you see your opponent make adjustments like that, you got to keep countering that. You got to make your own adjustments. And Bobcats defense are just having a tough time readjusting to whatever Central Michigan was doing on offense. Also, I mentioned Joe Labus, not Labus. I mispronounced his last name. I'm sorry about that. But Joe Labus, he was pretty much ineffective for the game. And at some point in the second quarter, he went down with an injury because he did not see him again after that. So in came Tyler Jefferson, the backup quarterback for Central Michigan. He did fairly well, all things considered. Tyler Jefferson, he completed 8 of 13 passes for 95 yards, although he got sacked once. But I could tell in the second half, Central Michigan, the players on offense for Central Michigan, they responded to Tyler Jefferson. And that was pretty interesting to see the difference between Joe Labus and Tyler Jefferson. Maybe there's going to be a quarterback battle on the horizon there in Central Michigan. I don't know. But yeah, momentum was the thing in this game. It definitely was a game of momentum. That was definitely the theme. So yeah, there were key spots of this game where the Bobcats could have easily lost it, but we didn't. We were saved by the fact that Central Michigan committed 15 penalties throughout the game, some of which came back to bite Central Michigan. The penalties certainly did. We were more disciplined than them when it came to penalties, and Central Michigan just kept hurting themselves with the penalties. There was like a punt return for a touchdown that Central Michigan could have had. That was called back due to a penalty. And they've had some calls overturned. There was like supposedly a big pass completed, which was under further review by the referees, and that got overturned to an incomplete pass. That also saved us. So the Bobcats, we were just saved by a couple things. this game. Had those things stayed Central Michigan's way, we probably would not have won this game. That's how close it was. So, with that in mind, I'm thankful that we got breaks when we needed to get breaks. Because in games like the Syracuse game, we definitely did not get breaks there. But thankfully, we did here. So I'm thankful for that. And yeah, like I said, there was like fumbles going on by Bobcats players. Parker Navarro, fourth quarter, 10 minutes to go, he fumbled the football, which gave the ball back to Central Michigan. He was winding up the pass on that one, and he was like trying to get to a throwing motion, but he got like shoved down, and it turned out to be a fumble instead of a pass. So that hurt at the time. But yeah, just a lot of relief coming from me right now, if you can tell by the tone of my voice. Relief. It could have easily been a big win for the Bobcats, much like the game against Akron, but it turned out to be more of a nail biter than it should have been. Yeah. What I found interesting was that when Central Michigan scored the first time, typically you just go for one, but Central Michigan was feeling very good about themselves, and they went for two because they could sense that our guys on defense were not stopping the run. So, of course, they give the ball back to Marion Lukes, and he catches a short pass for a 2-point conversion to make it 24-8 at that time. That was 8 minutes, 20 seconds to go in the third quarter. That's what got the momentum going for Central Michigan at that time. When I saw that, I was like, uh-oh. It's like the light bulb went on over the heads of Central Michigan. And that's when I started to get worried. Not gonna lie, I just started to get worried about it. But thankfully, when we needed to make plays, when we needed those plays the most, we did it. We got it, and I'm just really thankful. Case in point, with 5 minutes to go in the game, 5 minutes 17 seconds to go in the fourth quarter, Gianni Spetic, he came back. He kicked a 46-yard field goal to make it a 9-point game, 27-18. Guys, that was huge. Okay, when you can make it a two-score game, with 5 minutes to go, you put the pressure back on your opponent. That's key. Situational football right there. And for this game, the Bobcats figured it out, and they did the right thing. I'm happy. I'm pleased. We end up winning the game. 27-25. It was a matter of 2 points. Count them. 2 points. So, yeah, I've already linked in the description box below the stats for both the Chippewas and the Bobcats in this game, what happened. Anthony Tyus, the third, he had 17 rushes for 95 yards. Really, it was a really hard-earned yards. I'm just being honest with you. Anthony Tyus, he was getting like crushed at times by like 4 or 5 different Chippewa defenders, at certain plays. But that just goes to show you that you have to gang up on a guy like Anthony Tyus in order to get him down. Otherwise, you won't. So, yeah, it's just really one of those back and forth momentum kind of games. And really, when it came to the third and fourth quarters of this game, when you're losing momentum like that, you could have easily just have the wheels come off, and anything that could go wrong just did. But no, I really love the response overall from the Bobcats at the very end of this game. We made the plays that we need to, and that's what made the difference. A 2-point victory for the Ohio Bobcats. Once again, so thankful, relieved, happy, and we're moving on. We're moving on to the next game. Bobcats are officially 4-2 for the regular season, 2-0 in MAC conference play. And now we're moving on to next week, where we get to face a familiar foe. Let me pull up the schedule here real fast. It's a rivalry game. It's probably the most storied rivalry game uh, in the history of the Ohio Bobcats. And that would be what many call the Battle of the Bricks, that rivalry between the Ohio Bobcats and the Miami, Ohio Redhawks. And that's definitely a game that I'm going to highlight, that I'm going to talk about coming forward here soon. And Miami of Ohio, they're just now got like 2 wins, 2-4 for their season. And the game is going to be at Miami of Ohio, their backyard. So we got to do the same thing that we did just now at Central Michigan and do it there at Miami of Ohio on their turf and get it done. So, yeah, be on the lookout for content related to this rivalry between the Ohio Bobcats and the Miami Ohio Redhawks, because this is going to be an interesting one. I think this one's going to tell me a lot about the Bobcats, their character, their measure of resolve, and what they are as a team and what they're going to be doing going forward. So, yeah, that's it. Don't want to make this too long-winded. So that's just a recap of the game between Ohio and Central Michigan. If you guys happen to watch this game at any point, let me know. Give me comments. Share feedback on what you're seeing here in my video content. So, yeah, I hope you guys are having a good day, good night, whatever time this is for you. And yeah, I'll be sure to come back with more content. Hope you guys have a good day. Feel free to provide feedback, like, subscribe, do all those things, and just let me know how I'm doing. Thank you guys so much. Take care. Bye.